You're listening to DisasterClass Podcast by Instinct Ready Emergency Management. Hello, everyone, and welcome to DisasterClass, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you educate, prepare, and equip yourself for life's disruptions. This is not doomsday prepping. This is practical emergency readiness made simple because we are all our own emergency managers. I'm Jason Perez.
And folks, I am Wesley Long.
And Wesley, it is good to be back to DisasterClass.
Yeah, man, it really is. We were on a little summer break, a little hiatus there, but we're back and we're super excited to roll out really what we can classify as an all-new disaster class, right? We've done a rebrand. We have a new look. We have a new feel, and we really think that all of our viewers are going to enjoy it, and I know we're already enjoying it.
Of course. And with our new format, we're really going to try to not just talk to you, but take you on a journey. We're going to take a topic, we're going to explore it from different angles, try to make it interesting, informative, and applicable to you. And we think you're really going to enjoy it. In fact, Wesley, talking about new look, new feel, we've got our new swag on too.
Oh yeah, got some new swag.
Got some new swag
for the new logo, the new branding. Rocking the hat as well. Yeah, man, loving it. And I think Some of this stuff is available in the Instinct Ready shop, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Available on instinctready.com under the podcast webpage. You can get your own disaster class swag. Well, Wesley, how about we get right into this episode?
Yeah, man, that sounds great. Looking forward to it.
So I just want to interrupt for just a moment to say thank you to Sawyer Products for sponsoring this episode of Disaster Class. I personally love Sawyer Products. I've been using their water filter and insect repellent for years. Every time I go camping, hiking, spend any time outdoors, I've got my Sawyer Products there. I keep a water filter in my go bag. That way, if anything happens, I know it's there when I need it. So whether you're in the backcountry, the backyard, you're on the trail, or doing humanitarian relief, Sawyer products are making an impact. In fact, every Sawyer product you buy is a contribution to their common humanity, bringing clean water programs to people in need domestically, internationally, and through disaster relief missions all around the world. So visit Sawyer.com today to learn more and to find a retailer near you.
All right, everybody, class is back in session. Now, I am super excited for today's episode because some of you guys know I love technology, right? And I love seeing how advancing tech is used in moving forward emergency readiness and emergency response.
Yeah. And so today we're going to explore specifically omnidirectional camera technology and its applications to emergency readiness and response.
I'm sorry, you said omni what? That was a big word.
Directional.
Omnidirectional.
Yes.
Camera. Okay, Jason.
Omnidirectional.
What is an omnidirectional camera?
So basically, it's a camera with a 360-degree field of view. Okay. Now, we might think it's pretty new technology, especially when we think about virtual reality and all the major advancements in camera technology like GoPros and things like that. But what's interesting is that capturing images with a wide field of view actually goes back more than a century.
I'm sorry, what now? A century?
That's right.
100 years.
A century, over 100 years. So apparently this guy, Joseph, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Puchberger. Anyway, he's an Austrian guy. And he invented the first hand-cranked driven swing lens panoramic camera. It's a mouthful, I know. But this was back in 1843. So back in 1843, he created this camera that was able to do panoramic photos. Although this camera could only capture 150 degrees, not 360 degrees. But following the invention of flexible film, not the big heavy glass plates that they had back then, in 1888, many panoramic cameras in Europe and the United States were invented, which made panoramic photography known and loved by a broad audience of people. However, cameras back then were huge. I mean, they were massive, right, Wesley? We were looking at one picture of this camera that, what was it? It was being held up by like
12 or 13
12
people
or
to move
13
around. It's almost
people.
like the size of the car, like literally.
And you know, their purpose for these cameras back then, especially the panoramic ones, it was more for documentary, for military, scientific reasons, not necessarily like we're going to get into today, emergency readiness.
Wow. Okay, cool. So, all right, you gave me a couple dates there. 1843, 1888. We're talking, this is going way back. So technology, I'm blown away that it's this type of technology has roots that far back
I know.
in history. Like that's, I mean, right now, we just pull out our phone and we can capture high definition, panoramic, photographic data in seconds. It's like literally kids are doing it, but that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much technology has become more and more advanced and also more affordable, right? More portable. And then different industries are finding useful applications for this technology.
Yeah, so when you start talking about the applications of this, right, the question is how can we use these things? One application I think of is like, we see it all the time now, reality websites that has like a virtual tour. Right. And you can see the home in the virtual setting. Like you can walk around, you can see around the corner what the countertop looks like. That's one thing that I think of when I'm thinking about this technology.
Yeah, like the realty website, you know, you go on Zillow and you're shopping for a house and you can do the virtual tour. Like you said, you can see all that things. I thought of that one too. Another one I thought of was dash cameras. Dash camera technology, essentially a 360-degree camera. You know, you can see kind of this wide angle in front of the car, but then you also get the cockpit view too, right? It's right. Recording that simultaneously. And then think about like security cameras that have a wide field of view that you can see a larger area. However, as we're going to get into this technology, you know, how can we use this technology to be applied in emergency readiness and response?
Well, that's a great question, Jason, especially for our viewers. And fortunately, we have an answer for you guys. We recently interviewed and talked to a really, really cool individual, gentleman named Ed Mackey, and he is the founder and CEO of a company called Safety 360. And he let us in on how his company is starting to apply this technology in an extremely useful way.
Guys, I've been in the fire service for 41 years as a volunteer over here in Ulster County. I was an EMT and paramedic for 25 of those years, serving the 5 counties around us. The last 4 years, I've been a fire investigator with Ulster County.
Okay, so Ed is working as a fire investigator, right? And so part of his job is going to these scenes, you know, even like arson scenes, and part of his job is getting and gathering that photographic evidence.
We need photographs of everything. We need details and all that jazz. About a year ago, I purchased a 360 digital camera, and I was going to use it for incendiary fires, arson fires. I use is called a Matterport Pro 3 camera. And as I said, it's a digital camera, and you take a series of points within the structure, and you do a 360 scan from one point to another point to another point to another point. And what it creates is a virtual model or a digital twin of that building.
I'm guessing, Jason, making an assumption here, even though you're not supposed to assume, but I'm guessing that the old way to document a fire scene was just like traditional camera, snapping hundreds, maybe thousands of photographs, like in a sequence that would make sense, and then they could compile that, and then they could get an idea of exactly what's going on the scene. But now with this 360-degree camera technology, he can capture and digitally replicate the entire scene on digital media. Like, that is so cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, just from a pure evidence gathering standpoint, it's amazing because not only are you capturing as much evidence as you can for documentation, but you're also seeing what I think is pretty interesting is the full context of the scene, right? You can take a snapshot but then you're missing everything around it. And so it's really kind of taken out of context. But now with this, you're seeing everything in its context. Really cool.
Yeah.
But then Ed realizes that this technology could have other applications.
We could use this technology to make our schools safer. And that's very close and near and dear to me. My wife was a teacher for 31 years. By having fire, EMS, law enforcement, the 911 centers, all on the same page when they're responding to a school, whether it be fire, whether it be a man-made disaster, or unfortunately an active shooter scenario. Right. By using this technology, which is 3D, we can now put everybody on the same page of what the building looks like.
Yep.
From standing outside looking inside, and make their game plan for whatever the scenario, make it unified.
Interesting. So, Ed, this is awesome. Let me just ask. I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So it started with your fire investigation, using this technology reactively after something had happened to better understand what happened before you got there, right? Part of like the crime scene investigation afterwards, taking almost like a digital blueprint of everything, where it is, because that will help you piece together how we got here. And then what you brought to it was, hey, instead of using this technology in a reactive way, we can proactively take that same blueprint, that same mapping situation. And when you're saying everybody working from the same plan and everyone will be working from the same blueprint, literally. So you're creating a digital scan that everyone can base their response activity off of in advance before even stepping foot in the school. They'll know around this corner is going to be a water cooler, right? Because we have the digital mapping, and we have a almost like a one-for-one replication of what we're physically going to see when we go in there.
So, man, what an amazing concept. So one of the things he said, Wesley, he brought up a school shooting. And you and I both know how a situation like that is really going to demand multiple resources from multiple jurisdictions, all having to coordinate, to work together during a high stress, a highly complex situation. Now, the local agencies may know the school building. Maybe. Maybe. You would hope so. The reality might be something different. But other agencies responding to the scene, they may not be familiar with the building at all.
Not my jurisdiction.
Right. So from a purely tactical level, having access to a 3D scan to guide you in your decision making, man, that's super valuable.
Super valuable. And Jason, on top of that, even for the responding agencies and personnel that do know the building, being able to have access to that scan still can help in decision making in real time if there's an incident going on. So even for the people that quote unquote know the area, there's still, I feel, an extreme value to the responders and to the emergency managers who are quarterbacking this, maybe on scene or at a satellite location, to be able to see everything. Like huge.
We can do real-time measuring. So let's say from the front door to the third room down the hallway where we suspect an incident is going on. Well, how far away is that? We can do a measurement in real time from point A to point B in a span of 5 seconds, and it gives us a measurement.
Exact measurement.
So now law enforcement can make their plans accordingly based upon that distance. Is there a doorway down by that incident? Is there a fire extinguisher? Is there an AED?
So again, from a purely tactical level, right, this technology can be very useful for responders. But in terms of emergency readiness, there are other applications too.
We have to focus on other things. We have to focus on fire drills. We have to focus on man-made scenarios.
Mhm.
You can also start planning your evacuation cycles.
All right, so Jason, so this is cool. So now he's talking about like a completely different application, right? He's talking about fire drills. We're looking at points of ingress and points of egress. So from the emergency management side of things, now looking at this, now that our minds are like kind of being expanded to have this technology and how we can utilize it, from your perspective, what other applications do you see using this technology now and in the future?
Yeah, so just from off the top of my head, from a planning perspective, like you said, planning your evacuation routes, your gathering points. I think you could also use it for doing your risk assessments, for identifying areas of vulnerability, right? And then I also thought it was interesting that it's not just a 3D model you can make with this technology, but you can also make your floor plans from that and getting exact measurements. And then we know having accurate, easy to read floor plans, it's crucial for planning, right? Mapping out those evacuation routes and then having it visually displayed for people is crucial. And then you can also map things like your AEDs, your bleeding control kits, your shelter-in-place locations, etc. And then, like I said, having them accessible, visible in a format where the people who actually need to follow them is vital.
Yeah, having it made ready and accessible for people that need that information in real time, absolutely huge. So, Jason, I love throwing you a curveball, right? Like that's like kind of my jam.
Love to do that.
That is something that is not going to change in our new format. So, listen, we've been doing a lot of assessments. We've been doing a lot of work with Instinct Ready. We've kind of pivoted into the emergency management side of things, looking at businesses, corporations, larger entities. So we've had quite a few clients over the past just 3 or 4 months in different states, different locations around the United States, because we've got a large network of team members. So we've been doing a lot of EOP assessments. And in those EOP assessments for school districts K through 12, we've worked with a couple different school districts now just in the last few months. Let me just ask this question. What have been the state of the floor plans and maps that we've seen in school districts that we've been working with right now? Like the temperature gauge is right now, 2024. What have we seen, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, some of them have been quite shocking, honestly. Some of them are very, very outdated, difficult to read. One emergency operations plan looked like there wasn't even a map on it. There was no floor plans.
Right.
And then one, it had it, but it was, super difficult to read. It looked like the emergency routes were like hand drawn with pencil. It was really hard to look at.
And let me just stop you right there. I gotta say this. We mean no disrespect to the school districts that we have worked with. It's been a privilege working with them, bringing some of their emergency operation plans up to date. We view that as our responsibility. And one thing that we've always talked about in defense of school districts like K through 12s, and folks, you got to understand this. Those individuals got into that profession to be educators, right? And they are phenomenal at that, by and large, across the board. Sadly, though, because of the social climate of things today, the amount of risks that our kids are dealing with and the faculty are dealing with has increased. The risk acuity has increased exponentially, and as a result, it is now incumbent on school teachers and administrators to take on the role of emergency managers. And that is not necessarily their passion. It's not necessarily their calling. It's not necessarily something they have any training in whatsoever. They literally might have been at a school meeting and were voted to be part of the school safety team just because. They may have no passion for it, no desire for it, no aptitude for it, but now it's their responsibility. So that's why at Instinct Ready, we've been focused on K through 12s to assist them to bolster that, because we feel there's no more valuable asset than the kids, right? In school, and then the faculty and the teachers that take care of them. So we by no means mean any disrespect for any of the organizations we've worked with before, but we're just giving you, our viewers, right? We said we're going to look at things from different angles. We're giving you a real-time snippet of what's going on. And in a lot of school districts across America, like we said, our last 3 or 4 clients have all been in different states. This is a constant need that we are seeing. So we just wanted to highlight that. No disrespect for anyone we've worked with. And hopefully we have left them in a better place than we found them, right? That's our goal at Instinct Ready. But tools like this are absolutely needed today.
100%. Couldn't agree more so.
Yep.
So that's one application, right? Getting up-to-date floor plans. But Wesley, can you think of any other applications that we could use this technology for?
Yeah, absolutely. So another application could be utilizing these 3D models for training and for exercises. Now, maybe you want to put on, like say, a tabletop exercise. You want to put on some type of exercise or scenario, and you don't have access to the physical building. But you can use these scans, right, and allow your staff or responders to run through the scenario using the actual environment that they will encounter. And this is something, and I Googled it right before to see if it was already a thing, or if we're going to be coining something here that not necessarily is proprietary here for DisasterClass, but enhanced TTX, enhanced tabletop exercises. Right now that we have this type of digital twin technology, you can bring that now to your tabletop and have people walk through the environment and say, okay, at this point in the tabletop, everyone is located here and they need to get here, but the issue is here. Now, what do you do? Right? You can really utilize that to take your tabletop exercise to a whole nother level because you're using this digital twin, or you're using these very, very accurate and professionally laid out floor plans.
Yeah, super valuable, super valuable. So Ed also mentioned another interesting application of this technology. Now, you probably remember, Wesley, a while back we did an episode discussing mitigating risk, right? How do we take our risk and try to do things to keep being affected by it, right? Mm-hmm. Or minimize our risk. But we spoke with Brandon Troutner of Farmers Insurance a while back, and we discussed the concept of risk transfer, specifically talking about insurance.
The idea and the purpose of insurance is simply to transfer that risk. If somebody has a catastrophic claim, do they want to pay that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 out of pocket? Or is it a whole lot easier to swallow a $1,000 deductible and have their insurance company take care of, the bulk of the damage?
I think of this from an insurance standpoint also, because when we do a digital twin of the building, mm-hmm. now if something natural were to happen, like a tornado comes through and levels the school, well, now they have a digital inventory of what was in that school prior.
Yeah. So what he's saying then is basically, when you do a scan now with company Safety 360 or a similar company, similar technology, you have now done a complete catalog of all of your assets, and they are also now documented for insurance purposes. Super valuable.
Yeah. Very valuable. Absolutely. So a lot of very interesting applications for this technology, right? A lot of times when we think of 3D or 360-degree camera technology, we might think of, virtual reality, entertainment, things like that. But it's not just for entertainment, but it can also be used to increase safety, to assess risk, to assist our first responders as they, tackle and deal with these complex situations, document our assets for insurance purposes. So really, the amount of applications that you can do with this technology is pretty endless.
Yeah, it's really cool. So our recommendation is keep in touch with Ed. You can go to safety360consultants.com, or you can call them at 845-330-0912. They provide services nationwide. If you need floor plans, if you need digital twins, reach out to Ed and they will definitely help you out.
Yeah. Well, Wesley, this was fun. I enjoyed this new format of Disaster Class. Have you?
Yeah, oh man, I had a blast. You know me.
Yeah. However, even though everyone listen closely, even though we're doing a new format, we're changing things up a bit, don't think you can't get away without some homework.
Absolutely, right? Because guys, Disaster Class is totally listener supported, right? So we thrive on your feedback and your support. So let us know what you thought of this new format, this new approach. Did you like it? Is there something we could do differently, something we could do better, something you'd like us to explore maybe now with this new format? Anything you want us to do, please just let us know. We love your feedback as always. We appreciate it, guys. Keep the comments coming. And then also too, we would love a thumbs up, 5-star rating. It goes a long way in helping us to keep this content coming.
Yeah. And if you have a question, you have something you want to talk to us about, or anything else, right? Reach out to us. We're accessible. DisasterClass@instinctready.com. You can feel free to chat with Wesley and I, or drop us a comment in our social media, on our YouTube channel, however you listen to Disaster Class. Engage with us because we really want to hear your feedback. Well, thank you so much for listening to Disaster Class. We really enjoy and really need you as our listeners to help support this. So stay educated.
Stay prepared.
Stay equipped.
All right, guys, get out of here. Class dismissed.
Class dismissed. This episode of Disaster Class was written, directed, and produced by Jason Perez. Executive producers are Jason Perez and Wesley Long. Copyright 2020 for Instinct Ready Incorporated. All rights reserved.